Blessings to you as we come together on this first of my weekly reflections on the faith, justice, peace, and community. I'm Father Larry Dowling, the proud pastor of St. Agatha Catholic Church in North Lawndale, a predominantly African-American community on Chicago's west side. My prayer is that these reflections might stir within you a greater desire to come to know the God of love, beauty, mercy, justice, and peace, seeking to be fed in order to better serve our God. I suppose it is appropriate that I begin with the last Sunday of our liturgical year. The gospel message presents us with the parameters of judgment with which God will judge us as our human frailty frees us from the bonds of this life and propels us into the embrace of our loving God. All too often we read Matthew 25, verses 31 to 46, the final judgment scene, through the lens of immediacy. What I mean by that is that when we encounter a person who is hungry, thirsty, a stranger, naked, ill, or imprisoned, God calls us to respond to their immediate need, and then we get on with our normal lives. But I believe, and our faith teaches us, that we need to do more than meet just the immediate needs of others. So let me offer Matthew 25 with a few additional challenges for us to think about. Matthew 25, verses 31 through 46. When God comes in glory, escorted by all the angels of heaven, God will sit upon the royal throne, and all the nations will be assembled before it. Then God will separate them into two groups, as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. The sheep he will place on his right hand, the goats on his left. The king will say to those on his right, "Come, you have my Father's blessing, and inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. Then you worked with others to transform national and international policy so that one day soon no one would need to go hungry. You work with others to save and respect the environment, to conserve energy, to limit deforestation, and to maximize the potential that future generations will be fed. You work to guarantee the rights of workers to be able to provide sustenance for themselves and their families. For I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. Then you worked with others to help dig wells and hold governments and corporations accountable for removing pollutants from all water supplies and guaranteeing the free flow of rivers wherever there was need. You worked to help those thirsting for justice, for freedom, for peace, to achieve those goals through nonviolent means. For I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Then you worked with others to welcome orphans into nurturing families, to welcome immigrants searching for a home, help change the laws so that they could have a realistic path to becoming citizens. You helped hurricane and tsunami victims seeking refuge from the storm. Then you worked with others to make sure the homeless of your own city would be trained for jobs and given the opportunity to decent and affordable housing. You work with others to create resources for women struggling with their ability to carry a child to term. You work to break down the walls created by racism, sexism, militarism, Islamophobia, homophobia, and arrogant nationalism. For I was naked, and you clothed me. Then you worked with others to make sure everyone, no matter what race or ethnicity or economic class, had a chance to move beyond the nakedness of ignorance, to realize their God-given potential and offer their God-given gifts to society through quality education and job training. And you work to remove the nakedness of ignorance from those caught up in sins that create boundaries and limit human potential and creativity. For I was ill, and you comforted me. Then you worked with others to create a health system for everyone, which paid for preventative care and guaranteed respectful and thorough health care for everyone. For I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then you worked with others to organize prison reform, so that those in prison might be rehabilitated. And you worked to set up a system to reintegrate nonviolent ex-offenders back into society. You worked with others within schools to create an atmosphere where nonviolent resolution of conflict is the norm, and where abuse of drugs, alcohol, or another human being are not tolerated. You worked with others to free people from the prison of addiction, alcoholism, and mental illness. Then the just will ask him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or see you thirsty and give you drink? When did we welcome you away from home or clothe you in your nakedness? When did we visit you when you were ill or in prison? The king will answer them, I assure you, as often as you did it for the least of your brothers or sisters, you did it for me. Hopefully, my friends, this gives you some things to think about as we prepare in 2 weeks to begin the season of Advent. Until then, stay centered in prayer and scripture, rooted in faith, and propelled by hope and gratitude. If you could join us for our televised Mass on Sunday, we'd love to have you. Until next week, be blessed and filled with the peace of Jesus Christ. Thank you.